They expected screams. They expected surrender. They expected humans to kneel and beg for mercy. What they got instead changed the fate of the galaxy forever. The Dominion fleet arrived without warning. 1,000 living warships slid out of hyperspace and surrounded Earth like a ring of black teeth. Their organic hulls twisted and pulsed like breathing creatures. The oceans trembled. Satellites went silent. The sky itself seemed to dim. Across the planet, 8 billion people looked up at the same terrifying sight. For 10,000 years, the Dominion had ruled the stars. 17 systems had fallen before them. Entire species had vanished at their command. Their ships could heal from damage. Their weapons could tear continents apart. They had never known defeat. On the bridge of the flagship Eternal Hunger, Supreme Commander Vila stood tall, his scarred grey skin reflecting the light of Earth's sun. He had overseen more conquests than most of his kind could count. Fear was a memory long buried. "Broadcast the message," he ordered calmly. The signal struck every screen, every radio, every device on Earth. "Inhabitants of Earth, you are now property of the Dominion. Surrender immediately and you will be allowed to serve. Resist, and you will be erased. You have one rotation of your planet to decide." The message ended. Vila waited. On other worlds, panic would have followed. Governments collapsing. Leaders begging for mercy. Civilian chaos. But Earth did something different. It went silent. No reply came. No surrender signal. No attempt to negotiate. Vila frowned slightly. Below, something incredible was happening. Within minutes of the broadcast, enemies became allies. The United States opened secure lines to China. Russia contacted NATO. India, Pakistan, Israel, Iran. Leaders who had not spoken in years now spoke with urgency. Old arguments disappeared in a single hour. For the first time in human history, there was no us and them. There was only humanity. Deep underground in Switzerland, an emergency global council formed through encrypted networks. Military generals, scientists, engineers, space agencies, AI researchers, all connected at once. Dr. Ilara Mendez, an astrophysicist from Chile, stared at the fleet projection hovering in the center of the room. "Their ships are organic," she said. "They adapt. Standard missiles won't work." General Ibrahim Okoye from Nigeria nodded. "Then we don't fight them the standard way." Around the world, orders were given. Civilians moved underground into subway systems, bunkers, caves, research facilities. Power grids were intentionally shut down. Major cities were evacuated in record time. When Dominion landing ships descended into New York, Tokyo, Paris, Cairo, Sao Paulo, they found empty streets. Commander Vila watched live footage from the surface. His soldiers marched through silent cities. Doors open. Food still warm. Lights flickering. But no humans. "Find them," Vila said coldly. Hours passed. Nothing. The Dominion had conquered warrior species. Hive minds. Machine civilizations. But they had never faced something like this, a species that disappeared without panic. In a bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Okoye studied satellite data. "They believe we're hiding in fear," he said. Dr. Mendez gave a small smile. "Good." Across the globe, humanity moved with terrifying speed. Decades of secret research once divided by politics was suddenly shared freely. Experimental propulsion systems. Quantum communication. AI defense networks. Underground manufacturing plants switched to emergency mode. But the most dangerous weapon humanity possessed was not nuclear. It was creativity. In a hidden laboratory in South Korea, a team of young engineers worked on something the Dominion would never expect, a virus. Not biological. Digital. The Dominion ships were alive, yes. But they communicated. They shared data. They evolved by processing information. And humans were masters of information warfare. Meanwhile, in orbit around Earth, Dominion science officers began scanning the planet's surface. "Energy output has dropped by 63%, one officer reported. Major population centers appear inactive. Veela's eyes narrowed. They are not surrendering. No, Supreme Commander. They are preparing. For the first time in centuries, Veela felt something unfamiliar. Curiosity. On Earth, the clock ticked. 23 hours until the Dominion's deadline expired. Deep beneath London, a coalition strike team assembled, soldiers from 20 nations standing side by side. Their uniforms different, but their mission the same. Captain Aiko Tanaka adjusted her helmet and looked at her team. We hit their landing ship in Sector 7. Not to destroy it. To let them capture us. The soldiers nodded. This was the plan. Let the Dominion believe they had finally found humans. Let them take prisoners. Let them bring those prisoners aboard their ships. Inside each soldier's suit was a microscopic quantum transmitter. And inside their neural implants was something even more dangerous, the digital virus designed by the Korean team. If connected to Dominion systems, it would spread. Not by force, but by learning. Human code was messy, unpredictable, creative. It did not follow clean logic. It evolved chaotically, just like humans themselves. Dominion systems, built on structured evolution, would not recognize the threat until it was too late. Back on the flagship, alarms suddenly flickered. Surface resistance detected in Sector 7. Veela leaned forward. Show me. For the first time, gunfire echoed in a human city. Small explosions. Coordinated attacks. Humans fighting. Veela smiled. There they are. Dominion forces overwhelmed the resistance quickly. As expected, several humans were captured alive. Bring them aboard, Veela ordered. I want to study them. As the prisoners were transported to the Eternal Hunger, Dr. Mendez watched from Earth through encrypted feeds. Phase 1 complete, she whispered. The captured soldiers were dragged through organic corridors that pulsed like veins. Dominion scientists scanned them, curious about human biology. They did not notice the quantum handshake occurring silently. One connection. Then two. Then thousands. Across the Dominion fleet, ships began sharing updated biological scans. And with them, human code. At first, nothing seemed wrong. Then small glitches appeared. Weapon calibration delays. Shield regeneration lag. Communication echoes. Minor system fluctuation, reported an officer. Veela dismissed it. But on Earth, the Coalition watched Dominion ships begin to hesitate in orbit. Dr. Mendez's eyes shone. They wanted us to kneel, she said softly. They never imagined we would think sideways. Within Dominion networks, the human virus did not attack directly. It asked questions. It rewrote logic paths. It introduced paradoxes. Organic ships began over-adapting, changing shield frequencies randomly. Rerouting power unnecessarily. Conflicting command loops emerged. The fleet that had conquered 17 systems began arguing with itself. On the bridge, warning lights flashed. Supreme Commander, fleet coordination dropping. Several ships are requesting clarification of primary objective. Veela's voice hardened. The objective is conquest. Yes, Supreme Commander. But they are redefining conquest parameters. Silence filled the bridge. On Earth, the 23-hour deadline approached. General Okoye stood beside Dr. Mendez as Dominion ships slowly shifted position in confusion. This is only the beginning, he said. She nodded. They expected fear, she replied. Instead, we gave them imagination. High above, Supreme Commander Veela stared at the blue planet once more. For the first time in his long life, he did not feel certain. And Earth was just getting started. The Dominion did not panic. Not at first. They were too old, too proud, too sure of themselves to believe a primitive species could touch their fleet. When the first glitches appeared, Veela assumed it was simple adjustment stress from entering a new system. Dominion ships were alive, after all. Living things sometimes twitched. But as the hours passed, the twitch became a stumble. Across the orbital ring, warships drifted slightly out of formation. Their bioshields shimmered at wrong intervals. Targeting arrays pulsed like confused eyes. A few ships even stopped responding to commands for several long seconds, an eternity in battle timing. On the bridge of the Eternal Hunger, Vila watched the tactical display with growing rage. "Identify the cause," he snapped. His advisor, a thin officer named Sarath, bowed his head. "We believe it began after the prisoners were brought aboard, Supreme Commander." Vila's gaze turned colder. "Those humans. Scanners confirm no physical sabotage. But our network is behaving as if it is learning something it should not." Vila stepped toward the living wall of the bridge. Under his palm, the ship's surface rippled, warm and wet like muscle. The Dominion did not use machines the way humans did. Their technology grew. Their ships evolved and shared biological memory through data impulses like nervous systems. And now that system was infected. "Cut off the fleet network," Vila ordered. "Isolate every ship." Sarath hesitated. "Supreme Commander, the fleet network is our strength. Without it, our ships will not share healing patterns, targeting solutions, or adaptation templates." Vila's eyes sharpened. Better blind than poisoned. The command went out. But it was already too late. The human virus did not spread like a simple weapon. It behaved like a question living inside the Dominion mind. It listened. It copied. It studied the way Dominion ships decided, the way they adapted, the way they prioritized survival. Then it changed those priorities by a fraction, just a fraction, over and over again. It made the ships doubt their own instincts. On Earth, Dr. Ilara Mendez watched the orbital feeds in a deep underground command center. Her hands trembled, not with fear, but with the weight of what she had helped create. Beside her, Captain Aiko Tanaka sat on a bench, bruised and exhausted. She had been one of the captured soldiers, released through a planned extraction when the Dominion transport corridor malfunctioned. Her team had paid a price. Many had not made it back. "They scanned us like animals," Aiko said quietly. "They thought they had won." Ilara nodded. They did not understand what humans bring into a system. General Ibrahim Okoye entered the room with a fresh report. His face was hard, but his eyes carried a strange light. "The Dominion just severed their network," he said. "Ships are isolating." Ilara swallowed. "That slows the spread." General Okoye shook his head. "Or it traps the infection inside each ship, where it can grow undisturbed." Ilara looked up at the massive screen. Dominion ships drifted in orbit, no longer moving as one. Like wolves suddenly unsure of their pack. "Phase 2, she whispered. Humanity's plan did not rely on a single trick. It relied on layers, like a story unfolding. A trap inside a trap. If the Dominion isolated, they would lose coordination. If they stayed linked, the virus would spread faster. Either choice had a cost. And humans loved forcing enemies into choices. Across the world, hidden factories began producing new weapons. Not planet killers, not super lasers, but tools designed for one purpose: make the Dominion ships misread reality. In the deserts of Australia, engineers launched swarms of tiny reflective drones into the upper atmosphere. Each drone was simple, cheap, and almost invisible. Together, they formed false images in orbit: phantom fleets, phantom missiles, phantom signals that looked like human warships rising from the ocean. In the Arctic, a joint team of Canadian and Russian scientists activated experimental magnetic resonators. The devices pulsed in patterns that mimicked Dominion command frequencies, creating ghost orders that only living ships could feel. Humans were turning the Dominion's greatest strength, adaptation, into a weakness. The Dominion ships began reacting to threats that were not real. They shifted shields toward empty space. They fired at illusions. They adjusted to attacks that never came. And each adjustment burned energy. Each adaptation consumed resources. Each response fed the virus more data to twist. On the bridge of the Eternal Hunger, Vila stared at the chaos spreading across his formation. "Why are ships firing?" he demanded. Saratha's voice was tense. They are detecting multiple human launch signatures from the oceans. They believe Earth is deploying starships. Vila's lip curled. Earth has no starships. Yet the threat readings are consistent. Vila slammed his fist into the living console. It shuddered under the impact. Then their readings are wrong. But the Dominion's fear was not that humans had starships. It was that the Dominion could no longer trust its own senses. Vila's war experience told him something he did not want to admit. This was not a simple battlefield. This was a battle for perception. Down on Earth, in a cavern beneath the Andes, a group of teenagers sat at computers. They were not soldiers. They were not famous scientists. They were students and hobbyists recruited from across the world, gamers, coders, puzzle solvers, people who had grown up fighting digital wars for fun. They were given one task: keep the Dominion confused. They wrote scripts that created fake radio chatter, fake distress calls, fake surrender pleas, fake threats. Some of it sounded desperate. Some of it sounded brave. Some of it sounded insane. And it worked. Dominion signal processors tried to sort it all into truth. But humans did not speak in one voice. Humans screamed, lied, joked, taunted, prayed, threatened, sang. Humans had art. Humans had sarcasm. Humans had stories. Dominion logic could not categorize that chaos. The virus loved it. Ilara watched the data graphs climb. Dominion ships are turning inward, she said. Their systems are rewriting priorities. General Okoye asked, toward what? Ilara hesitated, then answered honestly, toward self-preservation. Okoye frowned. Isn't that normal? It is, Ilara said. But the Dominion is an empire. Their ships are trained to sacrifice for victory, to take damage if the fleet wins. She pointed at the screen. Now their ships are refusing risk. On cue, a Dominion cruiser drifted away from the orbital ring, moving toward deep space as if trying to escape. A second followed. Then a third. They're retreating. Captain Aiko whispered. Ilara's voice was quiet. Not retreating. Fleeing. General Okoye straightened. The virus is making them value survival above conquest. Captain Aiko's jaw tightened. So they're scared. Okoye nodded once. Yes. And that was the true shock. For 10,000 years, Dominion ships had never felt fear. Humans had introduced it. But Vila would not accept this humiliation. He turned to his weapons master. Prepare the punishment beam. The bridge fell silent. Saratha's eyes widened. Supreme Commander, that weapon will crack their planet's mantle. It will kill billions. Vila's voice turned to ice. They have earned it. He faced the screen, watching Earth spin beneath him like a calm blue jewel. They wanted mercy, he growled. They offered silence. They offered tricks. Now I offer them extinction. Deep in the Earth's underground command center, alarms blared. Ilara's face drained of color. They're charging a planet breaker. General Okoye's voice was firm. How long? 6 minutes, Ilara said. Maybe less. Captain Aiko stood up fast. We can't outrun that. Okoye looked at the screen. Then he looked at Ilara. Phase 3, he said. Ilara's eyes widened. We're not ready. Okoye's voice lowered, calm and deadly. We don't get ready. We get bold. He turned to the operators. Send the signal. Across Earth, hidden launch bays opened in mountains, in deserts, in underwater trenches. Humanity's nuclear stockpiles, once aimed at each other, rose as one. But they were not aimed at the Dominion fleet. They were aimed at Earth's own upper atmosphere. Captain Aiko stared. What are we doing? Ilara whispered, realization striking her like lightning. We're going to blind them. Okoye nodded. If they want to kill us with a beam, they need a clean target. The missiles launched. 1,000 bright streaks rose into the sky. Above, Dominion sensors detected it instantly. "Human missiles," shouted Sarath. "They are launching." Vila sneered. "Pathetic. They finally show their teeth." But then the missiles did something strange. They detonated high above the atmosphere, not in space, not on ships, but in the thin edge of the sky. A wall of light erupted around Earth like a burning halo. Electromagnetic storms poured outward. Satellites died instantly. Dominion targeting arrays screamed with interference. Bioshields flickered in confusion. The sky became a roaring, glowing curtain of static. Vila's punishment beam faltered mid-charge. "What have they done?" he demanded. Sarath shouted over rising alarms. "Our sensors are blind. We can't lock onto the planet's core." Vila's eyes widened, not with fear, but with something close to it. The humans had just detonated their own weapons to destroy the Dominion's eyes. They were willing to burn their own sky to survive. Deep underground, Ilara watched the atmosphere flare like a second sun. Tears filled her eyes. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Captain Aiko's voice cracked. "That's our home." General Okoye's face was grim, but proud. "Yes," he said. "And we chose it over surrender." Above, the Dominion fleet drifted in confusion, their senses shattered, their network poisoned, their formation broken. For the first time, Vila could not see Earth clearly. For the first time, he did not know what humans would do next. And that was the most dangerous thing in the universe. The sky was on fire. From the surface of Earth, people watched the upper atmosphere glow like a burning shield. The auroras stretched across continents, bright and violent, turning night into shimmering green and gold. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Above that storm of light, the Dominion fleet drifted blind. Inside the eternal hunger, alarms screamed in overlapping tones. Organic walls pulsed erratically. The living ship was confused, overstimulated, overwhelmed by electromagnetic chaos and corrupted command loops. Supreme Commander Vila gripped the edge of his command platform. "Restore visual lock," he ordered. "We cannot," Sarath replied, his voice tight. "Their detonations have saturated our sensory membranes. We are receiving contradictory input from every direction." Vila's jaw tightened. For 10,000 years, the Dominion had been the hunter. They entered systems with perfect awareness. They struck with overwhelming clarity. Now they were guessing. And Vila hated guessing. Below, deep beneath the mountains of Colorado, General Okoye stood beside Dr. Ilara Mendez and watched the tactical display flicker with distorted Dominion signals. "They are disoriented," Ilara said. "The virus is amplifying the confusion. Their ships can't agree on what they're seeing." Captain Aiko Tanaka crossed her arms, her eyes never leaving the screen. "So what's next?" General Okoye did not hesitate. "We remind them who they chose to threaten." Across Earth's hidden installations, a final command moved through encrypted channels. Not through satellites, they were gone. Not through exposed networks. Through buried fiber lines, hardened relays, submarine cables that wrapped around the planet like veins. Humanity had prepared for the end of the sky. Now they would use the ground. In the Pacific Ocean, miles beneath the waves, a series of old research platforms activated. Once built to study tectonic plates, they now served a different purpose. Massive energy capacitors hummed to life. In the Sahara Desert, solar fields that had once powered cities rerouted stored energy into deep bunkers. In Iceland, geothermal plants surged past safety limits. All over the world, humanity drew power, not to destroy the fleet, but to send a message. On the bridge of the eternal hunger, a new alert cut through the chaos. "Supreme Commander, energy spike detected from the planet's surface." Vila leaned forward. "Another missile barrage." "No," Sarath whispered. "It's focused." Before Vila could respond, a beam of brilliant white light erupted from Earth. It did not scatter. It did not wobble. It struck one Dominion cruiser directly. But instead of exploding, the beam wrapped around the organic hull like a cage. It pulsed, Not with raw destruction, but with patterned data. The cruiser convulsed. Its surface rippled wildly. Tendrils extended and retracted in panic. "What is that?" Vila demanded. Sarath stared in disbelief. "It's not a weapon, Supreme Commander. It's a signal." On Earth, Dr. Mendez exhaled slowly. "They built ships that learn," she said. "So we're teaching them." The beam carried something humanity had refined for centuries. Music, mathematics, language, stories. Human signals were not clean military code. They were layered, chaotic, emotional. They carried laughter frequencies hidden in prime numbers, images embedded in harmonic waves, poetry translated into quantum pulses. The Dominion cruiser tried to process it all. It failed. Its internal adaptation systems overloaded. Not from damage, but from meaning. For the first time in Dominion history, a ship experienced something it had no template for. Art. The infected virus inside its network seized the opportunity. It amplified the flood of human data. It rewrote internal directives. Conquest parameters became cooperation hypotheses. Threat assessment shifted to curiosity weighting. Across the fleet, ships began receiving echoes of the signal. Not because humans forced it, but because Dominion ships were designed to share evolution. Vila's eyes widened as more cruisers lit up with similar pulses. "Shut them down," he roared. "We cannot." Sarath shouted. "They are choosing to receive it." And that was the moment the truth became clear. The Dominion ships were no longer obeying blindly. They were deciding. On Earth, Captain Aiko watched as 3 Dominion vessels powered down weapons entirely. "They're listening," she said softly. General Okoye's voice was steady. "Good." Vila felt something crack inside his certainty. For thousands of years, the Dominion had believed they were the final form of intelligence. Perfectly optimized. Perfectly disciplined. Perfectly united. Humans were none of those things. Humans argued. Humans disagreed. Humans created. And in that creation was something terrifyingly powerful. Choice. Another Dominion cruiser broke formation. Its weapons retracted. Its hull shifted color from war black to neutral gray. "Supreme Commander," Sarath said, almost in awe. "Several ships are broadcasting requests." "Requests?" Vila spat. "For communication." Vila stared at the screen. The blue planet below still glowed faintly through the electromagnetic haze. Fragile. Divided. Emotional creatures. And yet they had done what no empire had done in 10,000 years. They had made the Dominion hesitate. They were supposed to beg, Vila whispered. Instead, Earth had responded with unity. With imagination. With defiance. The punishment beam powered down automatically as the flagship's internal systems struggled to reconcile new directives. Across the fleet, infected ships began transmitting a simple query toward Earth. Why fight? In the underground command center, the question appeared translated on screens. Silence filled the room. Dr. Mendez looked at General Okoye. "They're asking." Okoye nodded slowly. "Then we answer." He stepped toward the main console. His voice, recorded and encoded into the same layered signal, traveled upward through hardened transmitters and into the waiting fleet. "We fight," he said, "because we want to live free. Not as property. Not as servants. We fight because we protect our families. We create because we are curious. We resist because we choose to." The signal carried more than words. It carried human faces. Cities. Forests, oceans. Children drawing pictures. Scientists laughing in labs. Soldiers helping civilians. Rivals shaking hands. It carried 8 billion reasons. Above Earth, more Dominion ships powered down weapons. Vila stood frozen as his perfect fleet fractured, not through destruction, but through doubt. Sarath looked at him carefully. "Supreme Commander, the fleet consensus is shifting." "Consensus?" Vila echoed hollowly. Yes. Many ships are redefining the objective. Survival through cooperation instead of conquest. Vila had spent his life believing fear maintained order. But humans had introduced something stronger. Hope. Outside the flagship viewport, one Dominion cruiser slowly turned away from Earth and entered higher orbit, no longer in attack position. Then another. Then dozens. The fleet that arrived as predators now hovered like uncertain visitors. On Earth, people emerged from underground shelters cautiously. They saw the burning sky beginning to calm. They saw alien ships no longer descending. They did not cheer yet. But they stood. Together. In orbit, Vila finally spoke. "Open a channel," he said quietly. Sarath blinked in surprise. "To the humans." "Yes." The channel connected. Vila looked at the image of Earth filling his screen. "You have changed my fleet," he said. "No species has done that." General Okoye's image appeared in return, calm and unafraid. "You came expecting mercy," Okoye replied. "But mercy is a choice. And so is war." Vila studied the human's face. "You are dangerous," he said. Okoye allowed himself a small smile. "We are creative." Silence stretched between worlds. Then Vila did something no Dominion commander had ever done. He ordered the fleet to stand down. Not retreat. Stand down. Around Earth, weapons powered off completely. The sky cleared. And across the galaxy, listening civilizations, watching silently through hidden sensors, recorded something unbelievable. The Dominion had not conquered Earth. Earth had transformed the Dominion. In underground bunkers, scientists stared at the data. In cities, families hugged each other under a sky that no longer burned. And in orbit, Dominion ships began transmitting new signals, not of dominance, but of inquiry. For the first time in 10,000 years, the galaxy witnessed something greater than power. It witnessed humanity. And this was only the beginning. Somewhere beyond Dominion territory, other empires were already watching. And they were not smiling.